It's been a real treat to rub shoulders with all the people that are in our industry here for this weekend. There are two categories in the equestrian division. There was the feature and the equestrian short documentary. And it was a very, very inspiring group of films for me to watch with extremely close competition. To coin a phrase, if I can, the race was neck and neck to the finish. There were a lot of gems of many varying subjects in every category, and after a lot of deliberation, in fact, I actually only reached my decision this afternoon, I realized that just as many other people have, I have to kind of honor not just the winners, but the participants. One of my all-time favorites in the short category was a film called Riding High by an Australian director named Hannah Brooks. It was a humor-filled story about the rise of the Australian three-day eventing team to the Olympic levels. And one of the things I found amazing was that it took place in the mid-50s, it started in the mid-50s, and in only 18 months, the Australians brought their team of 4 riders who were previously just stock cowboys and polo riders. They brought them to win 4th place in the Stockholm Olympics for three-day eventing. And I don't know how many of you were riders, but to think that in the space of a year and a half you could accrue the skills necessary for Olympic-level dressage and show jumping, it's just kind of unbelievable. But it speaks to, I think, that moxie and guts that we know that all the Australians have, so congratulations to them. But the big winner in this category, the best equestrian short documentary, goes to Horse Packer, which was by a USA director named Matthew Berry. This little film follows Travis in his newly appointed position as the lead packer on the west side of the Rocky Mountain National Park.
So one of the trail crew girls accidentally dropped a bucket, and me and my old partner Key, we were working there together, and John he flipped out, man.
I found it very, very beautifully filmed, and in the space of 14 minutes, it was concisely and beautifully developed. It's consistently beautiful footage of a gorgeous place. It's an interesting story, and it's narrated by Travis himself. He has a magnificently charismatic sense of humor, and he's just, I was just drawn to him incredibly. I loved hearing his story and watching his adventure, and I just thought that Matthew very solidly used the medium of film in 14 minutes to tell this lovely story of Travis. So congratulations to Matthew. Is Matthew here? Okay. And the second category was the best full-length equestrian documentary. And that was an even closer and more nail-biting race. There was a very interesting film from the Netherlands, which was called Golden Jeans, directed by Annette van Tricht. And actually had to put a quick call out on Facebook this afternoon to any of my Dutch friends who could tell me how in the world I pronounced van Tricht. But there you go. What could have been a dry movie was presented in a very emotional and extremely interesting and informative manner. I learned a great deal. It's about show jumping and show jumping breeding. And so that was a lovely film. The other documentary, which I cannot forget to mention, was called The Wild Ponies of Chincoteague by Kurt Kalaya and Todd Messerow. It's a story about the pony pennings on Chincoteague Island and about a not-for-profit called the Feather Fund, which awards deserving young kids, the first pony of their lifetime. So that was a really, really nice little film. But the first place prize goes to another film from the Netherlands called The Story of Totilas. And this film is also by Annette van Tricht. It's a film about the most talked about horse in the world, and he has been called at times the horse of the century. He arrived, performed, and conquered the dressage world with his rider Edward Gall, and he won the hearts of millions, whether they're equestrian aficionados or not. It's a story of a once-in-a-lifetime world-class athlete who literally just happened to be a horse. This film is the story of his rise and his ultimate fall. And one of the things that I was really taken by towards the end was how he was at the hands of man. He he loved his work. There's no doubt, or he's not a dressage competitor anymore, but he absolutely loved his dressage work. And one of the comments in the film was that he would saddle himself up if he could. And it's obvious by the way he performs that that's true. But, you know, he is at the hands of man, or was at the hands of man, and I felt quite sorry for him at the end. But that's for you to find out when you see the movie. It was a great movie. The soundtrack was really suspenseful, and it tied in perfectly with the development. So congratulations to Annetta for winning first prize.
Thank you, Monica.